that shit get banged. Jamie Vardy's having a party. Bring your vodka and your Charlie. The boy is unbelievable. A man who has broken every single rule of the book pretty much in Premier League football. He loves having a Red Bull. He loves having a drink afterwards, a full English breakfast. His pre-match routine is probably one of the craziest. But what a career he has had. Better than some unbelievable players. Starting out in non-league, where he would play for the likes of Halifax Town, work in a factory, a 12-hour shift, then go in to play football. And from that non-league football, he climbed and climbed and climbed until eventually reaching Fleetwood, where he would get them promoted, being their top goal scorer, bagging goal after goal after goal. And Vardy's career from then pretty much lit up when he became one of the most expensive, correct myself there, player in non-league football, moving to Leicester. Now, we all know what's about to happen, but when you appreciate the way he came up, the age of 25, usually players after that age don't make it. We've seen a few more Premier League gems make it at later ages, and Vardy was one of the very first people to do that. His factory job was no longer. He no longer had to play for Halifax Town and these other non-league clubs. Fleetwood was almost the landing page for him, where he would then jump up to Leicester, and now Vardy was having a bloody party. I cannot believe I am sat here and announcing that Jamie Vardy's leaving Leicester. It is something that, for the most part, us as a neutral fan, I think, me personally, I have loved watching Vardy lighted up for Leicester. The shithousery, the amazing goals that he scored, everything to encompass Jamie Vardy, I think, is everything that football should be. And although Leicester, yes, they might be some team that are shit at the moment, much like a few other clubs, they have had great memories, and with Jamie Vardy they've shared a lot of them. Now, when we look back at his career, he's the absolute pinnacle of just a normal bloke who enjoyed his football. Yes, of course, there's a little bit of talent there, but not making it realistically until the age of 25, working in a factory whilst then going to play Sunday League. There's going to be a lot of blokes that can relate to that, and for the most part, when he started his footballing journey, as he said, he didn't necessarily see himself playing in the Premier League, but one thing led to another. As I said, the non-league football, going to Halifax, then getting sold for 700 grand, Fleetwood come in, and Fleetwood is where he pretty much shone, getting them into the Football League, and then being sold as the most expensive non-league player to Leicester City. You can't write it, and the fact of where he has gone, the records that he's broken, what he's done with Leicester City, I can only admire him, because everything... I have a bit of affection to Jamie Vardy. Not in that way. It's not like I want to go shagging, but in terms of the way he plays and the way he acts and operates, I think he's brilliant. Every time in FIFA, I'm having him in my team, and he always just brings drama. He brings that excitement to football, and I think as a neutral fan, I always would look out for Jamie Vardy and see, okay, like, I'd want the best for him. I don't know if that's a weird thing, but for the most part, I just love the story that he's done, and I think the way he has stayed with Leicester, been loyal. We did a episode on Trent, and Trent has not stayed loyal, but Jamie Vardy can. It's excellent, and when you look at his career, it tops a lot of players. For me, Jamie Vardy is a Premier League legend, and much better than a lot of players. What he has done for Leicester especially, I think they have a big affinity with him. Obviously, the last two seasons, let's say, have not been at his best. I know this season he started well, but ultimately with the relegation, whether he goes to a Premier League club or not, like a promoted one, I could see that happening. But it does mean one thing: his retirement looms. But I think the stuff he has done for Leicester, the trophies he has grabbed for them, the amount of goals he has scored, will forever be remembered. In his first season at Leicester, it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. There was in the Championship, he bagged about 5 goals and got a few assists. But for the most part, he was questioned, and people wondered, was it a bit too much of a jump? He thought so as well. But then afterwards, this is where the story of Leicester City and Jamie Vardy absolutely become almost a marriage. He got them promoted that season, being an influential part, winning the Championship trophy, and being promoted into the Premier League, where they would have another scare yet again. Vardy not necessarily breaking all these records and being the madman that he is. He was havoc, and he had the pace, he had the lightning fast ability to change games. But Leicester were in a relegation battle, and for the most part, they looked like they was going to go down 20th place until they went on an extremely good run. People consider this next season a miracle. This was also a very, very good telling sign of what was about to come in their mentality, because they, in their last 10 games, they won every one pretty much, drawing a few and only losing one. They stayed up, and later Nigel Pearson was sacked, but Jamie Vardy was ready to rumble, and the squad that they had accumulated now, when I mention, they seem like a lot of big legends, the likes of Riyad Mahrez and N'Golo Kante, Danny Drinkwater at one point. They had a few players who ended up getting picked up by big clubs, but Jamie Vardy remained. And that season, 5001 is all I have to say to you. It's 11. It's heaven for Jamie Vardy. He played a huge part in that, finishing 8th in the Ballon d'Or ranking that season, winning countless accolades in terms of being the best player, etc. Being picked to the Golden Boot by Harry Kane, but ultimately him, Mahrez and Kante, those were the main powerhouses. You can't forget Wes Morgan at the back, Kasper Schmeichel, etc. But it was a miracle that happened. Premier League miracle. Leicester City would go on to win the Premier League after last season battling relegation. And that is where Jamie Vardy exploded into life, breaking countless records. A madman. Jamie Vardy's having a party. We all know that absolute scene where they're watching it in someone's house and they find out they're champions. It was crazy. And that isn't where Vardy's story ends, because after that, even when a lot of players left, he would remain loyal, turning down offers from Arsenal, even playing for England and scoring in the Euros, and afterwards still going on to break countless records. So has Jamie Vardy now had his final party? At Leicester, he definitely has. As I'm recording this, we are 2 games away from Vardy leaving Leicester. I expect that Sunday to be incredible against Ipswich. It would be very Jamie Vardy to score, I think, his 200th goal in his 500th appearance, because as a 30-year-old plus man, I'm not 30 years old, but for Jamie Vardy, I think he's one of the best over 30 players in the Prem that we've ever seen. In terms of the amount of goals he has scored, his ability to keep on going. He only realistically lost his pace 2 seasons ago at the age of, what is he now, 37? It is incredible. And even at the diet that he has, I've said what I feel about Jamie Vardy, and I think that legacy speaks for himself. I really hope we do get more players that are still, like to have a laugh about. Don't get too media trained and just fucking enjoy playing football, because I think that is the pinnacle of Jamie Vardy. And for Leicester City, it probably is time to move on, because he is definitely a past. In terms of the Premier League this season, it hasn't worked out. He has played a majority of the games, but I think he'll always be a Leicester City legend from my standpoint. I'm not a fan, so I can't speak. And they probably need some youth to come in now and to really change it. After losing the likes of Maddison, Tielemans, that great team that they did have, it's going to be hard for them. And listen, I think it's the perfect almost parting of ways. Does his contract end? Maybe, potentially. Oh, I'm not sure. But in terms of that man and what he did for the club and for the Premier League, will be known in eternity. That Jamie Vardy's having a part in. I've heard some horrible chants about him, especially when he's at the grounds, but he takes it with very, very, what's the word, like high esteem. He doesn't let it bother him. I remember being at Villa and he scored 2 goals against us. And it was that season where I think Leicester were challenging for top 4, and we just could not stop him. Him and freaking Tielemans, he just, wind-up merchant, innit? But that's what you gotta love about football. And for me, and I presume for many people watching this, especially if you're from Leicester or you support the club, he will go down as history, and he's left his mark for sure. I hope he stays in the Prem to some capacity, but I do have a feeling that in the next 2 years, we could be seeing a Vardy retirement. With that, he goes down as a legend.
To the fans of Leicester, gutted that this day is coming, but I knew it was going to come eventually. It's 13 unbelievable years at this club. It's finally time to call it a day.
He would help Leicester play in the Champions League, take them not necessarily to first place in the Premier League, but also win a lot of other trophies. The FA Cup, to name a few. He's played with some great players. Youri Tielemans coming along, and Leicester fighting for top four a lot. Jamie Vardy winning the Golden Boot at a very, very old age, becoming the oldest player to ever win the Golden Boot, being in the Premier League 100 club, and he is very, very close to scoring 200 goals for Leicester City. One off. Can he do it in his next 2 games? Who knows? But Jamie Vardy is 100% a Leicester legend. The fact that he stayed throughout the whole course, where he could have maybe jumped ship and gone to the likes of Arsenal and then continued to win trophies. Leicester have a bigger history than Tottenham Hotspur in the last 15, 20 years, and Jamie Vardy has had a better career than many Spurs players. The amount of trophies he has won, an unbelievable wind-up merchant shithouse, countless celebrations to mock other fans and the fans giving it back to him. He's everything that football is sadly missing at the moment. There's too many snowflakes, too many woke nonsense going about. You can't put in a tackle, you can't take the piss out of people. Jamie Vardy is one of the last people that actually gives the passion to the game. Football nowadays is becoming monopolised in a business, and they're taking away certain things, but Jamie Vardy's name will live long in Premier League history and in Leicester history. He's set to leave the club at the end of the season with an absolutely amazing legacy and career. He has been an absolute gem in the Premier League. Whether he returns next season in the Prem or whether he goes to his boyhood club, who knows. But I think from a neutral fan, rival fans Leicester, you can say one thing: he brung entertainment, and every time you watched him, he at least made you feel some sort of emotion. Whether that was joy, whether that was hatred, whether that was happiness. Jamie Vardy's name will go down in the Premier League Hall of Fame, and I wonder when his next party will be. Love him or hate him, Premier League royalty is what comes to fruition when you talk about Mr. Jamie Vardy. And as I've stated, I'm not in love with him, but I think he's everything that football represents. And what he did for Leicester in that period is magnificent. The time he has spent with them has been incredible, even after that Premier League trophy winning season with the likes of Kante, Mahrez. We've seen them all. We've seen them do the impossible. Jamie Vardy has been able to do the impossible himself, and then to continue that with the likes of Tielemans, Maddison, win the FA Cup, Leicester's first FA Cup. You look at the last 10 years and they are 100% up there in terms of history-wise compared to the likes of fucking... Whoa! Hold on the phone! Dogs again, man. Just what is the matter with them? They've got about one brain cell. But I will continue. Jamie Vardy with that FA Cup magic, and then also getting relegated with Leicester. Most of the team there, Tielemans, Maddison departing. Vardy stick with them. And as we have saw, he has not necessarily been at his best this season. Last season, he was up there for the top goal scorers. I believe scored about 16 goals was I in the champ. I kept a quite eye on him. But for me, if you compare his career to the likes of Harry Kane, I know Kane has just recently won a trophy, but what he's done is historical. Anyone in that Leicester team realistically has a good career, but for Jamie Vardy to continue that, winning the Golden Boot at such an old age and being the oldest player, it is remarkable, and he will go down as, I think, a lot of people's favourite players. Just the fact that he's not necessarily all about the diet, which you realistically should be to get to the very top, but he's done it without. He has a couple of Red Bulls here and there, and has made and put his stamp on the Premier League and for Leicester City Football Club. Let's hope he gets his final goal against Ipswich, because it is his last game. Decided not to play against Bournemouth. I will be captaining him in my FPL because I need to gain a few points. So hopefully Vardy has one final party, but for the modern era and what he's done and the way he has played, carrying Leicester in some seasons, obviously they missed out on top four a lot of times under Brendan Rodgers, where they top four for most of it and then dropped out at the end of the season. But that Premier League triumph and that trophy where he did 11 and heaven, for Vardy. Vardy was probably in heaven the night afterwards. Whatever substances he'd taken, he was definitely on another planet. But that is alright, because he gets to enjoy himself. Obviously, you don't want to be doing anything else too bad, but for the most part, he has been incredible.